Who's actually going to get the most out of a complete thermal imaging setup? Who can safely walk away? And does the price make sense for a hunter who just wants a reliable nighttime shot? That's the question I keep hearing from people on forums and at the range. And it's exactly why I'm breaking down the Burris Optics thermal kit today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, so you can see the exact part numbers and what's inside the box before you decide. If you've ever tried to cobble together a night vision rig by mixing a separate thermal scope, a red dot sight, and a set of rings, you know how many little incompatibilities can pop up. The Burris kit promises to eliminate that guesswork by bundling the BTC35 V2 thermal rifle scope, the RT33 Red Dot, and a set of Picatinny-compatible rings into one package. On paper, that sounds like a nice, everything-you-need deal, but the real test is how it behaves once you mount it on a hunting rifle, head into low-light conditions, and try to make a clean, ethical shot. First off, let's talk about who this kit actually serves. If you are a serious hunter or tactical shooter who spends a decent amount of time hunting at dusk, in heavy brush, or in cold weather environments where traditional night vision struggles, the thermal advantage is huge. The BTC35 V2's 102 for 768 OLED screen gives you a clear, full-color picture, and the 5-color palettes let you tune the image to the specific foliage or temperature contrast you're facing. In a thick maple stand, for example, switching to white-hot can make a warm-blood animal pop out like a bright spot against the darker background, while black-hot flips the contrast for a snow-covered field where the heat signatures are subtle. That kind of flexibility is a genuine benefit that you can't get from a single-color night vision monocular. The RT3 Red is another practical piece of the puzzle. Its 3 magnification is low enough to keep the sight picture quick and instinctive, yet high enough to give you a little extra reach when you're aiming at a deer at 150 yards. The small footprint means it won't add a lot of bulk to the front of your rifle, which matters if you're already carrying the BTC35 V2. In field tests, shooters have reported that the combination of a thermal image and a red dot can dramatically reduce the time it takes to acquire a target, especially when the animal is moving slowly and the thermal contrast is low. Now, who should probably skip this kit? If you're a weekend shooter who only goes out a few times a year, or if you mainly hunt in open fields where daylight is plentiful, the thermal component may be overkill. The BTC35 V2 is a sophisticated piece of equipment, and its price reflects that. For a casual user, a basic night vision scope, or even a good pair of binoculars with a built-in IR illuminator could meet the need at a fraction of the cost. Also, if you already own a high-end thermal scope that you're happy with, you'll likely find the added RT3 and rings unnecessary. The kit's value drops sharply once you already have a core thermal device. Speaking of value, the real savings in this bundle comes from the integrated Picatinny rings. Burris designed the rings to be Weaver-style compatible, which means they'll fit the vast majority of modern rifles without needing extra adapters. In practice, that cuts down on the fiddly installation steps that often trip up new owners. You bolt the rings onto the rail, slide the thermal scope and red dot into place, tighten the screws, and you're ready to go. The process takes less than 15 minutes for most users, according to owners who posted setup videos on YouTube. That's a hidden trade-off you don't see in the spec sheet. Time saved at the range translates to more hunting time. On the downside, there are a couple of practical limitations to keep in mind. The thermal sensor in the BTC35 V2, while respectable at 400x300 VOX resolution, doesn't match the high-definition arrays you see in top-tier military-grade rigs. In very cold weather, the sensor can struggle to differentiate between a sitting deer and a similarly warm patch of ground, especially if the animal is motionless for a while. The solution, of course, is to rely on movement cues, but that does mean you need to be comfortable tracking subtle thermal shifts. Another point is battery life. The kit runs off a single rechargeable pack, and users have reported around 3 to 4 hours of continuous use before the charge dips noticeably. If you're planning an all-day hunt, you'll either need a spare battery or a way to recharge in the field, something that isn't included in the box. Let's bring this back to everyday buyers. Suppose you're a hunter who's been using a standard 34,550 scope for years and you're tired of missing game at twilight because you can't see the animal's outline against the darkening sky. Upgrading to thermal can close that gap, and the Burris